Hello to all of you. Today I'm here to talk upon the poem Elegy written in country churchyard. In the previous video, we have talked about the introduction of the poet. So today we are going to discuss the poem. I'm just going to make an analysis of the poem. So as you know, as the title suggests, that it's an elegy and it's one of the most popular poems in English language. And the popularity of Gray, it rests on this poem. So we will uh, we will discuss the subject matter, we will discuss the theme of the poem. So first of all, let me know you the type of the poetry, that it's a graveyard poetry. As the title suggests, elegy written in country churchyard. So it's a graveyard poetry. So let me explain what is graveyard poetry. So it's a type of poetry that presents some kind of melancholic reflection on mortality, human mortality, that is framed in narratives involving visits to graveyard and other reminders of death. As the poet in this poem, he visits in the country churchyard, and he is observing in the churchyard, and he is writing what he is observing. So it's a graveyard poetry, and in one of the most celebrated example of this type of verse is Thomas Gray's Elegy written in country churchyard. So, with its personal and introspective concerns, such verse has been seen as significant as part of a transitional phase between publicly focused neoclassical verse and romantic lyricism. But it's of interest not only as a stepping stone in literary history. And the poem, the another main important feature of graveyard poetry is this, that it involves a focus upon loss with extensive analysis of feelings. Such verse played a part in the wider culture of sensibility. So, as I have told you earlier, that Gray was highly inspired by Dryden, and Dryden was he was having some classical elements in his poem. So Gray has also used classical elements in this poem. So what are those elements? Let me tell you. Use of alternately quatrain of, so these are the quatrains. Quatrains is the 4-line stanza. So quatrains of iambic pentameters that are presented in the poetry of Dryden. Then there is the use of abstract personification. As in the when you will read the poem, you will find that the abstract ideas of ambition, grandeur, money, power, they are personified. Then there is universality of themes such as death, obscurity, contentment. So they are universalized. Then we have idyllic view of country life. There another classical element that is having is excessive time required to polish each stanza. The poet makes an extra effort to refine the stanza, thus excluding immediacy of inspiration. Then there is a clear influence of poetic classics such as Dante, Lucretius, and Petrarch. So, when we discuss the theme of the poem, as I have told you, that it's a elegy, and elegy is written to mourn upon the death or loss of someone or something, or it can be mourned at some universal loss also, universal fate also. So it mourns the death not of great people but of common men. As I have already told you, that Gray, he was very much he was a lover of nature as well as humanity. So his love for common man is clearly reflected in this poem, and he meditates on the nature of human mortality. That in death there is no difference between great and common people. If among the lowly people buried in the churchyard there had been any natural poets or politician whose talent had simply never been discovered or nurtured. So, when the poet talks about these common people, he says that even those noises are feeble, showing that the beetle and the kettle are tired. There is indeed one sound which is not drowsy. and the sound of an owl hooting intrudes upon the evening quiet. Then the hooting of the moping owl appears, that it complains to the moon that the poet is trying to destroy her ancient solitary reign. So, if we talk about the tone of the poem, there is a kind of sincere melancholy throughout. And he started composing the verses of this poem by bringing before his mind the eyes of churchyard at stock pages. So the poem begins with the description of the churchyard. So the farmer is returning home after his day's work, and it's dark all around, and the air itself is silent in a solemn manner without any breeze. And the cattle are going homeward, and none is to be seen except the poet standing by the side of the graveyards. So the whole atmosphere is serene, it's very calm, and nothing is heard except the hooting of the owl and the drowning sound of the beetle and tinkling of the bells of the herd in distant fold in village. So this is the theme, that the poem is loaded with simplicity, it's loaded with the beauty of nature. There is a new note of music. We can have an autobiographical note in the poem. And if we talk about the autobiographical note, what is this? Because the poem is as remarkable as the general note, and in the end of the poem, the poet gives an epitaph where he describes about himself. The poem is having a note of music also. The elegy has a note of music which well accords with the theme of the poem, and the music goes deep into the heart of the people. And we have a very beautiful description of nature in this poem. The popularity of the poem depends on the beautiful description of nature that are presented by the poet in the opening three stanza of the poem. In the opening stanza, the poet talks about dusk time, that the kettles are returning and the tinkling of the bell. So these all they describe the beauty, the beauty in simplicity. So it was a new note in the 18th century poetry, and hence it was having a special charm. Then the theme is having a very simplicity, because the poem is well known because it's lofty in tone and thought, but the content is very simple. Thousands of readers have found that elegy expressing the elemental feelings of human heart in simple and charming manner. So, thus, the fame of the elegy, it has spread, and it's a very beautiful elegy that describes, and it's one of the most beautiful poem in the English language. And it depicts the relation of a sensitive and a contemplative spirit to the thronging, mysterious, and the tragic world. Thank you.